We are live. Going live. Welcome to Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. It is going live everywhere. I'm popping up on Instagram. Hey, Instagram. I'm popping up on YouTube and TikTok. I'm popping up on Twitter. Actually, this is the first time I'm going to be live on Twitter. So kind of excited about that. Didn't really publicize it. Trying to see how it's going to work. But I wanted to just connect with all of these. I'm just waiting till everything is live. So I'm live on Podbean. I'm live on Twitter. I'm live on TikTok. And I'm live on IG. Hey, y'all. And I'm about to go live on YouTube. That was the last one I was waiting for. Okay, guys, welcome to Faith. Oh, it still says going, but welcome to Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. Um, y'all ready? Because we have lots to talk about. If you aren't connected, if you don't know like where to get the information about faith and politics, here it is. You can join by texting. Y'all, it's easy. I want to put things, by your fingertips because that's where we need to go with technology. So you can text join and your email to 504-399-4380. So if you want to join Faith in Politics, text the word join and your email. So it'd be like if you were emailing. My email is faithandpoliticstoday@gmail.com. So you put join faithandpoliticstoday at gmail.com. And then you would text it to this number, 504-399-4380. Again, if you'd like to join Faith and Politics, text join in your email to 504-399-83 4380. So, okay, with that being said, I just want to let you know that we are live Tuesdays at noon everywhere that you podcast, and that includes Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and iHeart. I don't know what YouTube is tripping today, so I'm still working on getting it up, but we're just going to keep going because we're not going to stop for anything. If I need to just drop the video on there later, I'll do that. And I just also wanted you to know that if you're interested in any partnerships, questions, concerns, solutions for the city, community sponsorships, if you have any feedback and you don't want to be live, you can always email me at faithandpoliticstoday@gmail.com. I'm really excited about, interacting with people. If you didn't know, I did the recall for 7 months. We sat on corners, we talked to residents, and I was really able to hear what people knew, what they didn't know. And so having grown up in politics, and having worked for the city of New Orleans for 3 years in the communications department, I really wanted to connect some dots for residents so that they could use the information and move forward themselves, because there's a lot of information out there and the outreach is not penetrating to the residents. There was someone online and it was a little back and forth, but I was attempting to be like, hey, the information needs to hit more than just your bubble. People are like, oh, they gave this information out for a year. Yeah, but the information is like stopping at a certain point and it's not like trickling down to people. And I did outreach for the city of New Orleans. I built the social media department, and we put out this thing called Clean Up NOLA for 3 years, y'all. And we had the backing of the city of New Orleans, clearly. And there are still people who don't know about the Clean Up NOLA initiative. So I can say with outreach, you really need to continue to make sure that people have information. And I just don't believe that our city is doing that well enough so that our residents can be informed so that they can make their own decisions and move forward in a way that is best for them. So with all of that being said, look, I think it's going to let me go live now on YouTube. With all of that being said, this show today is about see something, say something. So I think it is so interesting that, during Super Bowl week, y'all, hey y'all on YouTube is just joining. We've been live for a couple minutes now because YouTube was tripping. So welcome YouTube. Welcome to Faith in Politics. If you want to join, I'm going to say this quickly. Text your email Text join in your email to 504-399-4380. Text join in your email to 504-399-4380. YouTube, you're a little behind, so we're just going to jump right in. So today is all about if you see something, say something. And I just really feel like that is such an interesting conversation, because that was like what they had on blast during Super Bowl week. If y'all don't know, I am based in New Orleans. My name is Eileen Carter. I am your host. I was born in a political family. Like I said, I worked for the city of New Orleans in the communications department from 2018 to 2021. I built the social media department. So there's a lot of just inside stuff I know that I think people should know. And the fact that y'all don't know it's an injustice in my opinion. So with that being said, let's jump right into the conversation, because y'all, they ask us to see something, to say something if we see something, but do they really want to? So the Super Bowl has come and gone, but now let's continue these improvements for residents too. Wouldn't that be nice, y'all? There's no other city that entertains guests better than New Orleans, but we also want to claim that fame that no city treats its residents better than New Orleans. Wouldn't that be nice? So collectively, I'm encouraging everyone to speak out in our spheres of influence for ourselves and our neighbors. We cannot all just be worried about self. Like, that is not how this works. And we cannot all be everywhere, but everywhere we are, we can definitely make a difference. So, being in comms and, social media and outreach and things like that, I pay attention to how they, delivered information and things throughout this week. And so I noticed, the slogan of Super Bowl was, if you see something, say something. So I really wanted to continue in that spirit. I don't know if they wanted me to continue in that spirit, but I wanted to continue in that spirit and really create change in our neighborhoods that helps us collectively. And if you don't know, faith in politics is, the civics information you didn't know you needed with a little bit of flair of faith. So with that being said, today I just think it's a perfect combination, because if so many people are like, why do you speak out? And I'm just like, how can you not? Like, number one, I'm a Christian. And number two, like I said, having grown up in it and seeing people being taken advantage of or see people being lied to just really aggravates me. So I just like to give the information and people can do with it what they want. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not trying to sway anyone. I just want to give you the information and let you move forward. I do not come from any political party view. I am an independent. I love being independent because it allows me to kind of see both parties for what they are and just not be blinded to be perfectly or programmed by their talking points. And I say that with all humility and respect for anyone, no matter what side of the line you're on, because I grew up in a very democratic family, and I became independent about a year and a half ago. Just couldn't do it. So I wanted to speak up because Proverbs 31, y'all, when I started reading my Bible for myself, I was just like, how do you sit still and not speak up when you're called to do these things? So Proverbs 31:8 says, and I'm reading from the NLT version. It says, speak up for those who cannot speak up for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and helpless and see that they get justice. And I'm like, what? We're supposed to speak up. How many people say don't judge? Well, it's funny how people like to pick and choose the pieces of the Bible that they want to, and then they roll with it. But, they may not have read the entire verse or the entire chapter with regard to context. And so we're not supposed to be judging, those outside, let's put it that way. Our community, we are supposed to be holding each other accountable. If you see somebody who's going to walk in the street and get hit by a car, you're not going to say, hey, stop, there's a car coming. Well, that's what the Lord is calling us to do. He's calling us to speak up, and he's calling us to walk in his heavenly army. He said, like, who's going to speak up for me? And that's the call right now. So if you're not speaking and you're not convicted right now, I really urge you to kind of go in that secret place with the Lord and check your heart and to talk to him and see what he has for you, because if he is for you, who can be against you? And in this season, having the covering of the Lord is essential. And with that being said, now you know why I needed it, because in 2022, y'all, 2022. Look, I'm speaking to IG and not IG, TikTok and Twitter directly. Y'all, in 2022, we started a recall for the mayor of the city of New Orleans. It was a group of people. It was all parties. We had Libertarian, No Party, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party. Y'all, we really had everybody. It was a coalition of everybody. And it was just because the residents of New Orleans were not, in our opinion, just on a basic being cared for, pretty much. And so we saw something and we said something. And it's funny because they only want us to say that when it's, and I don't want to say, but things that make you go, like that, or, somebody with a weapon. Well, what if the weapon is how they use their power against people? Shouldn't we have those conversations of see something, say something in that regard too? Well, that's where we are. And so I kind of wanted to just speak up a little bit about the stuff that we spoke up about in 2022. And it was a 7-month process. It was 2022 to 2023. So this was a long time, y'all. We were standing on corners, talking to residents. We had to get physical sheets signed out. So we were really, doing the work to make sure people hopefully got the information. But New Orleans decided that they wanted to keep this mayor, and here we are. So I'd like to kind of go back to the list that we spoke about when we saw something so we can see if anything changed. And y'all, straight up, I did not read this list again. I found it. Maybe I was going through my computer for something else and I found the list and I just looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, you know what? Put that on the side. I'm gonna look at it another day. So today's the day I'm gonna look at the recall list. And this was the list that when we first had our press conference that we spoke about, and then we put it online to just let residents know why we were doing what we were doing. Honestly, I do believe the media kind of took hold of our message because our message was not what the mayor does in her extracurricular time. That's between her and Jesus. Our conversation was the mayor wasn't working and her decision making wasn't good for the residents. That was our message. And it got hijacked. So let's go through some of the things that we saw and said something about, and let's see what changed or didn't change. Okay, so the first one was crime. Residents have asked for an effective crime plan since have been asking for an effective crime plan. NOLA is now the murder capital of the nation. So this was clearly a view from that point because we were the murder capital of the nation. So now you see we aren't. So what has changed since then? Well, I would say, honestly, I would first step out and thank all of the residents who stood up and said something. Because if y'all remember in 2022, we had an entirely different police chief. And in my opinion, the mayor had an entirely different outlook toward crime. She had a totally no hands on. Like she leaves it to the NOPD chief and just like separates herself. And I'm like, how do you do that as the mayor when you know this affects your residents? But anyway, that is the position she has taken, and that's how she moves. So with that being said, we do have a new head of the police department. And last year last year in January, we got a new governor, right? And so last summer, do y'all remember what the governor did? The governor came in and he brought Troop NOLA. Then Troop NOLA worked with the head of the police department, which is our new NOPD chief. And they worked to really infiltrate all of the targeted criminals that had done hardened things in the city. And when they had the conversation, there was like, it's really only this, a group of people that are doing, the majority of these type of crimes. So as you see, they kind of did stings last summer. Everybody knows they were talking about, you saw the Dodgers going around the city and zoom, zoom, zoom. And you see where we are now. We are at one of our lowest crime levels in years. And I just want to thank our new police chief. And I want to thank, honestly, our governor. People can like him or not like him, but without him bringing Troop NOLA here, I do not believe that we would see the differences that we have seen. Okay, so the next one, y'all, this is kind of tripped out because I have not read these in a minute. Let's see, infrastructure. How much has infrastructure changed since 2022? This is what we spoke up for, and well, let's see if anything has changed. Infrastructure. I'm tired of busted up streets for years, tired of dodging aging potholes. What has changed in New Orleans from 2022? Great question. That's for you. And I'm posing a lot of these questions really to provoke thought, because I'm encouraging each one of you to go speak up in your sphere of influence. Whatever Wherever you are, if you're in education, if you're in the financial, if you're in government, if you're in economic development, if you see something, I'm encouraging you to say something, because if we don't say something, there's never going to be any change. So again, I'm going back to the list of see something, say something that we spoke up in 2022, and let's see if anything has changed. Okay, so the next one was we pointed out that the mayor sat on the side of the carjacker, and in that instance, she did not have the back of the residents. Well, has that been the case from then till now? Well, I'll say, I think today it's funny that we're reading this today, because I think today is a great example of this. What is happening right now? I guess it's well, in 15 minutes, y'all. If you don't know, today in the city council chambers, they're going to be having a conversation about the $20 million that fiasco between the school board and the city of New Orleans. Long story short, the city of New Orleans and the school board had the school board had a lawsuit against the city of New Orleans, like saying that they had owed them $100 million or something like really big like that. Don't give me the number, like don't put me on the number, but something really big like that, because the city gets the money for them and then gives it to the schools. But they were not giving the schools the correct amount of money. So long story short, the schools were like, hey, give me my money. And so instead of them doing it correctly, they had to sue the city. So the school board was in a conundrum, and they were like, oh, we're short $36 million. That's a whole nother conversation about how that happened. You should go read about it, but it is what it is, short $36 million. So with that being said, they were trying to find ways to do it. Now, Katie, who is the president of the school board, used to work for Joe Giarrusso of District A. So they're really they have a close relationship, as well as she has a relationship with everyone on the city council. So she was like, hey, let's create this as a let's create this and see if it can work out for everybody. Y'all want to get out of this suit fast, and we need these funds for the kids. So let's do this and work out a deal. So the deal was, from my understanding, that there was like two lump sums of the 20 million, 10 million that was supposed to be given at the end of the year by December 31st, I believe. And then another 10 million, I don't know the end date. And then they were supposed to have like a 6 million each year after that to kind of catch up. So that was the deal. Well, guess what? On December 31st, that first payment did not drop. And they're like, okay, well, did the mayor just forget? No. So, but let me tell you, when they made the deal, it was all the council, the school board, and the CAO. Do y'all know who the CAO is? The CAO is like the mayor's, he leads all the city departments. He's over all of the city departments right under the mayor. He makes sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing technically. And she's above him. They work together like every single day. Their departments work together. So for him to agree to it and have them all go stand in front of the media and do a press conference saying, hey, we've saved this situation and the money is going to be there for the children. New Orleanians, don't worry, we got you. Well, guess what? About a month later, the mayor said, I didn't sign my name on the dotted line. And they're like, say what? So that's what's happening right now. But here's the deal. She didn't sign her name on the bottom line of the agreement yet. She signed her name on the budget. And they budgeted that money in the budget for last year already, and this year. So they've already budgeted the money, and she signed off for the money in the budget. So this is in the courts, and this will be interesting. But the fact that we even have to do this and our children are in limbo, why? This should have been done behind doors, and we should never even know about it, to be perfectly honest. We should never even know about this. We should have better leadership across the board. But, my focus has been on the executive branch. So I'm giving you the information. You can do what you want. The next one, police staffing shortages due to low morale and bad leadership. Has that changed, y'all? We had this conversation in 2022. Has the police staffing shortages due to low morale and bad leadership changed? I will say the leadership has changed. We don't know how all of the police, the rank and file feel about it. We have seen changes. I do believe that they were very encouraged with the partnerships of Troop NOLA, and then all of the departments in the region, especially for Super Bowl. I hope that they feel loved. And especially after the attack on Bourbon Street. NOPD, we love you, and we need to get you some better leadership from the top on down. And so if you really love your police officers, you will hire them a better boss. And I'm just being real about it, because I've had that private conversation with a couple police officers. And trust me, having a better boss would be nice. I'm gonna just leave it like that. Economic development. Nobody is coming here, including businesses and big store, big box businesses. So economic development. One of our focuses with that was Algiers and the Lower Nine and New Orleans East. Those were kind of what we were showing, because we're like, what's going on in economic development? Now, of course, we need it across the city, but those are certain districts that are really, have more struggle than the other. So this is a conversation we had and brought up to the entire city in 2022. Do you think that there has been a change in the economic development in the city of New Orleans since 2022? Because we saw something and we said something. That's what this entire podcast is about, seeing something and saying something. So next, affordable housing. New Orleans received a grade F for the past 3 years, and that was in 2022, y'all. We had received a grade F for the past 3 years with regard to affordable housing. How do y'all think affordable housing has changed? Is it more affordable for you? Don't you think that that would be a lovely priority for our mayor to sit down, have a plan, and deliver her message to the city of New Orleans? Hey, residents, you hired me. I'm working for you, and I've created this affordable housing plan, and let's do A, B, and C to make sure, everyone who wants home ownership can get it or receive it. So that's that. I know a lot of community activists who would have their 2 cents on that for a whole 3 hours. Next, accurate water bills. The mayor is the president of Sewerage and Water Board. So these were things we said in 2022. What's happening now? We do know that the city council has come in and put together a process where you can straighten out your bills. JP Morrell has been really heading that effort that I have seen. And so more people are getting some relief there, but I'm still hearing stories of there being situations. They are putting the smart meters on all of the houses, and they're putting it, across the city of New Orleans. So they're trying to work your bills better. You tell me, are your bills more accurate since 2022? Because we said we said what we saw, so we're trying to see if we had any movement. Because during this past week, during the Super Bowl, the big outreach was see something, say something. So we said something. Let's see. Misappropriation of the Pontalba. Y'all, what's funny is when we were putting this out, we had no idea what was going on there. And so it's crazy, because now we know what was going on there, and that is between you. Y'all know, and I don't need to repeat it because it's still in the news. And I'm honestly, I was shocked, and we're going to leave that between her and God, because I'll just say a sitting mayor breaking up a family unit in the city of New Orleans with a woman who is in education. I believe his wife is like a principal or a teacher or something like that, and they have kids. So it's interesting of when Black women are say support the Black woman, but which Black woman? Okay, so next. If y'all didn't know, we knew since 2022 that the mayor is under federal investigation. She's still under federal investigation, and now she's under more federal investigation. So that's what's changed in that situation. We said that the homelessness population has been ignored. That's crazy, y'all. This is nuts that I'm going back and read this. But so now we have a head of, they've created a new mayor's office of homelessness, basically to help, our homeless population. But I just think it's interesting because, we hired her for 8 years. So anyway, now you got it. When did we get this gentleman? A year ago? Okay. But now this gentleman is currently Fields. His name is Fields. He is currently under investigation for sexual assault. Yeah, so there's that. The Juvenile Justice Intervention Center mismanagement. Y'all, I would love an update on that. Have y'all gotten an update on that? What is going on with the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center? It has been mismanaged, and I think they've kind of, like, in my opinion, I don't want to say they swept anything under the rug. I just haven't heard anything recently, but I would love the news to do like a if anyone's watched from the news, give us a report on that. What's going on with the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center? Because if y'all don't remember, that director had a fiasco because he was double dipping. He was working there, but then he had a real estate company outside of New Orleans. And so he was like not in the office for a month on end. Literally, but they don't, if you don't read the fine print, you don't know all that. So, and he was doing all kind of stuff. Or I don't know. They were in court too, because then he was suing the city for something else. So there was a back and forth in that. I would love an update on that. Anyone in the news media who wants to give us an update, we love it. Next, y'all, we said that the mayor retaliates towards residents and businesses. Do y'all think that has changed? No, I don't even think we need to really like go into that. Just to give you like, oh gosh, just to give you an example, during the recall, I don't know if y'all remember Half Shell that was on Bayou Road. They were going to have an event for us to, because they did outreach to the service member community. And so they said some people were at the bar sometimes asking questions about the recall and they couldn't answer. Could we come one day and answer the questions? So really that's what happened. And he's like, I'm just going to put together a little flyer and say, hey, they'll be there. Well, the next day he had an eviction notice. Did I stutter? No. He had an eviction notice because the powers that be in the city of New Orleans did not want residents to be educated. Interesting, right? Well, guess what? So if y'all know me well enough, y'all know I just don't sit on my hands. So when they gave him the eviction information, I said, let me read that. If y'all don't know me, my dad was an attorney and I read everything because that's just how he raised me. So I read his lease and I read the information that they gave him. I said, sir, you should read this line and you should get an attorney and you should take this to them. Long story short, we went to court and let's just say they settled with him. God don't like ugly. Okay, so next, does the mayor retaliate toward residents and businesses? I think you see that right now. And again, we see that with regard to, I mean, she retaliates and holds our children in the balance. Like, anyway. Okay, so these are some holds up. These are some areas of the cities that had been held up due to the mayor's administration. What has had movement? Let's see. Bayou Phoenix, that was 2022. So now we see there is movement on Bayou Phoenix. What year are we in? So that was 22, that was 25. So now they're just tearing down the roller coaster, because remember y'all was on fire. So yes, so it took basically 3 years just for them to get to the point where they are tearing it down. Yes, that's where we are. Lincoln Beach hold up. That's probably one of the saddest part. Y'all, there's some background of this that I'm not going to say out loud, but as much as the residents want Lincoln Beach, let me tell you, your executive branch is your holdup. The mayor is your holdup on Lincoln Beach. Our state, not our state, our U.S. representative got us $20 million. They had a community group who did their thing. The three of them like outdid themselves and they still fight for New Orleans and to bring Lincoln Beach back to the residents. And honestly, the mayor should be ashamed of herself. And yeah, I said it. Oh, well. Gordon Plaza. Y'all know what was Gordon Plaza. It's crazy because y'all, when the mayor first took office, the Gordon Plaza was one of the first meetings we had. Why? Because I sat in on it. And I'm just like, they did those people dirty. And the fact that as a community, we didn't speak up for them and they had to go through that for so long. We are not loving our neighbor appropriately, but they are on the other side of that hill now. I hope all of them are doing well and that there is, that they, have come to peace with that situation. The Congo Square debacle, y'all remember when that happened, when they wanted to move the city hall there, but then, the administration didn't talk to the neighborhood. And then there was like, whoosh, and then it didn't happen. And so now we see what is going on at Congo Square, what is going on at the municipal auditorium. Do y'all see movement there? Is anything happening there? What's happening? We saw something and said something in 2022. What is moving forward at the municipal auditorium? Okay, and now I'm saying, I'm giving y'all this for information. Y'all can do what you want to do. And it's crazy. If y'all are just popping on, this is information that we gave in 2022. And the trademark of last week during Super Bowl was, if you see something, say something. So we're saying something, right? This is stuff we said in 2022. So we should want to say something. So let's jump back into this. Oh, y'all are going to love this next one. The inequity with enforcement under Claiborne Bridge. Where do we start? What has changed under Claiborne Bridge since 2022 when we brought this up? So I'm sure y'all probably like, ugh. And I will say the big thing, like what I would have envisioned for under Claiborne Bridge, like you already have the community congregating there. We have such a culture of creatives. Why not create something like French Market in the Claiborne, under the Claiborne Bridge for residents, where you could have like pop-ups and like food vendors and things like that, and like make it a thing for residents. But no, why would you do that? That makes too much sense. Let's shut it down. Anyway, now, of course, the people running up and down with the bikes and stuff, I get that. Why do I get that? Because during the recall, some of them didn't like us speaking up. She had some of her friends who were in there. And I'm not kidding. Some of the like bike riders would come to some of the recall events and take their bikes and like run us out the way. I'm not kidding, y'all. The stuff we've been through is just beyond. But I'm here to tell the truth, and it is what it is. So, but we see where the food park actually landed up, because I would have loved the food park, for our people. But we see where, and then everybody can join because it's already a place of that we congregate, right? But, now we have a food park right there at the end of by Earhart and Claiborne, right by with that Home Depot. Okay, I'm just saying. You can do what you want with the information. That's just what it was. I just think there's inequity in enforcement and what they do for who, where. Our next point was trash collection issues. I don't really think I need to like delve into that, because everybody knows we still have trash collection issues. There's still people in lawsuits with what was going on in the French Quarter. And I have a question for all the residents. Who decided that we were going to have a 1-day pickup for the week? Did y'all vote on that? Did they ask you? Did they have community town hall meetings? Did they say, hey, residents, how would you be affected if we have a 1-day a week pickup? How does that work during crawfish, shrimp, and crab season? Like, how's that been working for y'all? I know some people who've been keeping their stuff and like putting it in their freezer, their trash in their freezer, and then putting it out because it smelled too bad. Y'all, and this is true story. After Ida, I was out of town because the house needed some repair. And so just to see how stuff worked out there was nuts. I am in the country and they have a 1-day pickup. We are in a municipality. But anyway, and I talked to my friend who was in New York, and she was like, girl, we have 3-day a week pickup. I said, I get it from New York, but Lord have mercy on our souls. Anyway, we didn't have 2 cents in that decision. She's like, this is what it is, and this is how it's going to be. Okay. Next issue, lights around the cities have been out for years. This was 2022 that we had this conversation. How y'all looking at lights? What's going on with lights going around the city? Is your neighborhood lit up? We've had all these years. We've talked about it. We saw something. We said something. What's going on with the lights? What's going on? The lights on the I-10? Where the lights? All of the lights. Where the lights? I'm just asking. Oh, and in addition, traffic lights. Where are traffic lights? All our traffic lights working? That was a conversation that we had then. And I'm just trying to see if all our traffic lights working now. Take it for your will. These were conversations we had in 2022. And so we're trying to see what the difference is now. Next. Oh, code enforcement. Y'all, this is a trip. Code enforcement. In 2022, the recall brought up code enforcement. We said there is a lack thereof. Well, in 2024, what we're now in 2025, how many buildings have y'all seen falling? What's been going on in your neighborhood? Code enforcement? Is it working out for you? Because we saw something and said something and we're still in this situation. So clearly, if you see something and say something, it really doesn't matter. It only depends on who is what. Because, and I want to make a point. We said all these things to the media as well. The media the newspaper of the city of New Orleans sued the recall, actually trying to, in my opinion, not even my opinion, trying to basically keep our mouth closed and not get people to sign your newspaper. So I suggest everyone go get your newspaper from multiple sources. You cannot get your news from just the Times-Picayune or all of your newscast in the city of New Orleans. Because let me say, in my opinion, they did the recall dirty. Number one, I'm gonna give you one example. They said we put out this thing that we gave these Mickey Mouse names. Now, let me give you the short version of that. When we sent out the mailers, people sent them back. We had people who agreed with us. We had people who didn't agree with us. People who didn't agree with us sent us craziness. We had people who sent lists and say Donald Duck, Goofy, and whatever. We had like one page like that. We had people who sent us shards of metal. We had people who sent us baby powder. Really? We had people send us confetti. So we have like y'all. People send us all kinds of stuff. So long story short, we had 2 box drops. On the second box drop that day, we were in court suing the Secretary of State because the registrar's office in the city of New Orleans is not doing a good job keeping the rolls clean. Technically, the amount of people who are on that roll who live out of town, if they voted absentee, not living here, they could sway who does what in New Orleans. Not kidding. You've had some races, determined by hundreds of votes. Wasn't that Eugene Green and D last time? By a couple hundred votes, it was swayed. But guess what? Technically, if you got some of your friends, about 200 of them, if you go down that list and you had them vote absentee, you could have taken that race. And that's sad because they don't even live here. But that's the truth. And so I just offer the truth. You can make your decisions for yourself. Next. NORD working so it benefits all residents. I don't even know if we really need to have drop into that because I think each one of us can talk about this. Since 2022, you had a spotlight, the end of last year, talking about how the NORD parks are in disarray. So what has changed? We saw something, we said something since 2022, and nothing has changed. It's actually gotten worse for our children. So I believe our children are the ones suffering here out of all of us because they don't have the voice. We're supposed to be speaking up for them. Who's speaking? Like who's saying something for our children? They're at city council, right? Yeah, 12. It started at 12:30 right now, speaking about our children for the school. 2 summers ago, our children weren't paid on time for the entire summer. Don't start me because I could really have a conversation about this. Actually, the next point goes into that. A failed Office of Youth and Families. Do y'all know that we have a mayor's Office of Youth and Families? If you didn't, you can go look it up. NOLA.gov/youth. That's what it used to be. I don't know if that's still it. I know these links, y'all, because I was social media manager of the city and I created it. So it just is what it is. But it was NOLA.gov/youth. If that's it probably still sends you there. It should and redirects you because it existed at one time. And if you didn't know, it should. But if you didn't, you should know that there's a mayor's Office of Youth and Families that has existed since 2028. What are they doing? Do they do stuff? Yes. How many people does it reach? Has it penetrated into your neighborhood and community so you understand fully how you can benefit from the Mayor's Office of Youth and Families? If we've had a Mayor's Office of Youth and Families since 2018, shouldn't we see some benefit of it? I can only give you the information that I know, that I've seen, but I can say they were funded with $41 million in 2018. With $41 million, in my opinion, every child in the city of New Orleans should have a new uniform because the Mayor's Office of Youth and Families is also over, y'all love this, the Mayor's Office of Youth and Family has their hands over NORD, the libraries. What else do they do? And they're supposed to be creating a bridge with the New Orleans public schools. I wish I can't drop the mic because y'all, it's on a stand and I need it to work. Did y'all hear that? We have a Mayor's Office of Youth and Families who is supposed to be coordinating information between all of our youth activities, the NORD, the libraries, the school systems and things like that. Like that's the office when the mayor goes to visit a school and you see her at a school, that's the office that put it together, the Mayor's Office of Youth and Families. So I'm just wondering what the Mayor's Office of Youth and Families is doing today and how they are working for the city of New Orleans and what they did with that $41 million since 2018. I'm sure they've gotten more money since then, but wondering minds want to know, and I'm sure y'all want to know. Here's another one: failed gun violence prevention program. Y'all, what happened to the gun violence prevention program since 2018? Where is it? Is it in your neighborhood? Do you see it? What's going on? Is it funded? What's happening? What's happening? I don't know. There is a mayor's office of gun violence and prevention. Do you see it in your neighborhood? Do you see it on the news? What are they doing? I don't know either, but there's that. Next on the list, actually, this is a conversation going now: revenue and tax collection. Over the years, there had been failures with getting out the property tax information to residents at a certain time period to make sure that they could, take care of their responsibilities in an orderly fashion. The paperwork was going out late and things of that nature. Where they are today, honestly, I would need to do. I'd need to. Review it, but that had been something that was happening in the past, and it was a problem for the administration, which became a problem for our residents, and it's something we spoke up about in 2022. Giving up the money going through the Wisner Trust. Okay, do y'all know that we have a Wisner Trust? There was this family, the Wisner family, that left this trust for the city of New Orleans with this land, and all the money that comes from it, is supposed to go to this, that, and the other. And the mayor's office has power over where the funds go and who it's directed. Where after so many years, it was going to the city and to other agencies. I believe it was a couple like colleges and universities and things like that. Well, after so many years, the entirety of the fund was supposed to switch to the city of New Orleans entirely. Like, we're supposed to get it all. So long story short, the mayor signed something that said, hey, no, we don't want the residents to get all the money from the Wisner Trust. We want to keep doing what we're doing, because you know what? This way I have more control over it. So I would love an update on that. Anybody who's out there, I know it was in court, but we need an update. What's going on? Wondering minds want to know. And so if you're just jumping on, last week, the entire city was putting out this message of see something, say something. So, I see something, we're saying something. And so in 2022, we put out this list of see something, say something. So I'm just reviewing this list. And it's funny because I have not looked at this list since 2022. So I'm looking at it for the first time as I'm reading it to you. And y'all, we're almost at the end of the list. 911 software procurement failure. Y'all, this is going to make me laugh. So we brought up 911 software procurement failure in 2022. Well, we can see what's happened since 2022, right? With that department, our 311 911 system. How is that working for y'all? I will just say this. This one is near and dear to me. Number one, their director is no longer there. He was then in an accident and has insurance fraud, whatever he was doing. I don't know the specifics. You can go into that because I don't really want to go there for that. But the part that is near and dear for me with regard to this situation is that I was in a drive-by shooting April 15th of last year. And I called 911 4 times and no one answered. My son was shot. I left the car and I left him to go stand in the middle of the street and scream to ask people to please call 911. So no, I don't believe that has created a change that is going to help the residents of the city of New Orleans. So since 2022, we're now where we are. No, I don't believe that has strengthened. The smart cities contract mismanagement. Y'all, I'm really glad this is mismanaged because we don't really even need to fall in the smart cities category. It's a whole conversation for another day. But there was a debacle with the Smart Cities contract. The mayor and the administration and her department, her mayor's office of utilities. Did you know that there was a mayor's office of utilities? Yes, there is. And so it was a one person department. He was creating this contract with these people, but he had connections to them in other ways, and it just became a thing. The city council caught some of the stuff and was like, hey, what's up with this? And so they kind of stopped it. So that is what happened with that. But it was a big debacle. But the fact that the mayor even did it was like, really? And so that's why I'm like, your decision making is a trip. Last couple ones. Blight everywhere. Oh, has that changed for y'all? We had this conversation in 2022, y'all. Blight everywhere. So what has changed with regard to blight? Let's see. And capital projects not moving. Our conversation was capital projects are not moving because she's not around to move them. Well, there's that. At that point in time, there was, I believe that year she was out of the city 3 months when they counted up all of her travel. So certain things can't move forward because we have a strong mayor system. So with the strong mayor system in the executive branch, there's certain things the legislative branch just can't do without the mayor. Like they can't. Like when you call your council member and you say, I need help with permitting. Okay, well then your council member calls the Department of Safety and Permits. They have a director. Who is the director's boss? The mayor. When you go to your council member and you say, hey, I have an issue with my sewage and water board bill, and the council member goes to sewage and water board bill, says, hey, my resident needs this. Well, the director of sewage and water board is A, and their boss, who is the president of the board, is the mayor. Let's choose the libraries. If you have an issue with your libraries opening and closing, haven't we had these conversations with your libraries opening and closing? You go to the library and say, hey, library, we want this to work. And so you talk to your council member goes to the head of the libraries. Well, the head of the libraries, their boss is the mayor. So everywhere you go, the department head, their boss is the mayor. So I don't understand why residents are like, let that lady live. Don't do anything. This is her job. She signed up for it. She signed up to represent you daily. And that's what we thought we were getting. So I don't understand why us saying, hey, this isn't working is an issue. You shouldn't be offended. You should be like, my residents want some help. Yes, we want some help. And we've been asking for these things since 2022. And the point I'm making now with some of this is the mayor hasn't done it, and neither have your council members. Some of them aren't moving either. We need collectively as a city to learn what does what, who does who, and those people who are in those positions, speak to them. I don't need to be everywhere. If there's somebody who leads in education, go do your thing. Let me support you. If there's somebody who leads in economic development, perfect. Go do your thing. Let's find those people who support you. Let's spread ourselves across the city and do something. If we see something, say something. That's what they want us to do, right? So let's start doing it. Oh my gosh. Y'all gonna love the next point, y'all. It's crazy that I really didn't read this list till while I'm live on here, so y'all see my reactions. The next point is the French Quarter security plan. For everyone listening on the podcast, I know you heard that you were like, what happened? There was silence because I don't even know what to say about that. So in 2022, the recall brought up that we needed better French Quarter security plan. I'm just going to leave that there. So we told the mayor, we told all city council members, all of the city council members heard all of these things, that we knew that these were our issues. Ooh, okay. Next, not being a consoler in chief. Where's the mayor when we need her? Where's the mayor when our community is like riling over something? Like where? And I'm not talking about the Bourbon Street attack. This was a conversation from 2022. And so in 2022, we were like, where was the mayor when there was the rape in the French Quarter, when we were looking at her to console the community? Where was the mayor when the children fell in the river and we were looking for her to console the community? And this is more recently, in the past year or so, where was the mayor when the children died in the house fire and we were looking for her to console the community? I'm bringing up the points. You can do with it what you are. I'm not here to manipulate anyone. I'm here to give you the information and you can make up your own mind. Last couple, y'all. The premature announcement in the large box vendors. When have y'all heard about the last conversation about bringing in large box vendors and economic development to the city? I mean, there was that influx of like Family Dollars and Dollar Generals. Like we knew that, but like, where are the stores? Like I can attest to, we're going to have a Trader Joe's uptown, and that's wonderful. But you know what? And I live up here and I can appreciate it, but there's a Rouse's down the street. I'm going to love having Trader Joe's. But you know who doesn't have any of these things? New Orleans East. You know who needs these things? The Lower Nine. You know who really needs some love? Algiers. I'm just saying, but I'm here to put it on your mind. Two more points, y'all. The handling of the consent decree. That's funny because you see where we are in that. So in 2022, we were talking about that that the administration had a terrible handling of the consent decree. And this is just to remind you, so you can remember what has happened and what has occurred since then. And do you believe that we should be out from under it? I mean, I can personally say, there are things that I still have questions about just due to her handling being over the NOPD and her being the administration over it. I have faith in our police department. I don't have faith in our leadership at the executive level who is over them. Like, I just don't. I don't believe she would do right by them. I believe if somebody told on something, she would retaliate. And why do I believe that? Because look at who leads NOPD. It's not Michelle, right? And we all know at this point that it was due to retaliation because Michelle did some penalty with regard to, her finding out that was the mayor's boyfriend. So we know retaliation goes on to her own police department. So with that being said, and this is the last one, y'all. And it's kind of funny because it's about to go on right now. And I don't even know if a lot of you all remember that this happened. Do y'all remember when the mayor threw out there that she was going to not have Mardi Gras as retaliation against the residents? And it went not nationwide. It went global. Do y'all remember that? If not, I do. Because, so yes, she still retaliates against her residents because now we're just seeing it somewhere else. We're just seeing it against our children right now. So she will use Mardi Gras as retaliation if she don't like something we did. And she will use our children to retaliate against us if there's something she doesn't like. So don't ever get it twisted. So with that being said, that ends the list of the things that the recall brought up during 2022. This conversation has been about see something, say something. That last week, that is what they blasted all across social media, all across New Orleans. They said, if you see something, say something. So I just think it's a great opportunity for us as residents to pick up on the slogan and move it forward. If you see something, I believe that we should say something, and hopefully that we will get a better response than we have from our elected officials than we have gotten in the past 4 years, 3 years. Actually, since 2018, there's stuff I know that I wish I could say out loud, and maybe one day I will. We'll see as this new journey progresses. But I just want to thank you all for joining in. This has been Faith in Politics with me, Eileen. I will be live every Tuesday at 12. And I do put out a blast every Tuesday morning at around 10ish. So if you are interested in getting that information, it'll give you links to our lives. It'll give you links to, the last podcast. So if you missed it, you can listen. But it's really just all about giving y'all information. I'm not one of those people who likes to manipulate people or who's like, I'm going to drive something down your throat. I'm going to give you the information and then you can do what you want. Like, we all have free will, and I'm not here for that. But I do believe that if you give people the information and empower people, that we will create a better community for all of us involved. And I just believe in loving thy neighbor and growing up in politics in New Orleans. If you didn't know, my dad was an elected official in the city of New Orleans, and that's how I grew up under him. And so I grew up in the time where our public servants were actually public servants. And so I just believe we need some of that back, because we've seen a lot of gatekeeping in the city of New Orleans. Even with Super Bowl, we did a wonderful job. Our residents, our leaders came together and really did their thing. And we looked good. We did look good. But I will say there's a lot of pain that we didn't have to go through with getting ready for Super Bowl. If y'all didn't know, New Orleans initially was given the Super Bowl for 2024, and that was announced. There was a party and everything. What they realized was that Mardi Gras and Super Bowl would they just overlap too much, and so that therefore they moved it to 2025 just to give us a little bit more breathing room. So if you knew that you were getting the Super Bowl all that time, shouldn't there have been more work done in the city? Like, we should not have been under the stress we were under in the city with everything. Y'all know this because everybody was saying, oh, y'all just doing this for Super Bowl. Oh, y'all just doing this for Super Bowl. Oh, like everybody was saying that because it was so much work at one time. Well, it had to, because if y'all remember, who created the Super Bowl committee last year that went in full mode? The governor. Shouldn't the mayor have done that? I digress. The governor created the Super Bowl committee, and he put Michael Heck, who is the head of GNO Inc., over it. And so they got busy working with all the community stuff. Michael played, in my opinion, a bridge between the executive branch and the legislative branch to move some stuff forward, because the mayor is retaliatory. It is what it is. And so when they put him in that position, what was she going to do? The Super Bowl had to go on. And so the governor was not going to let us look crazy, which is why he came in with Troop NOLA and tried to take out a lot of criminal elements to make the city safer for us. And that it is what it is. And you can be mad at the governor for certain things, but he is the only one with certain power that can change things in the city of New Orleans. Why? Because he's an executive branch. The mayor's the executive branch. If she's not there, there is a void in government. There's a void in power. The legislative branch can't do her job. They don't have the authority. The governor has he's in the executive branch, and he has some authority in the city of New Orleans due to his position. So he can touch everything that is state or federal in the city of New Orleans. That's what he can touch. So like Sewage and Water Board, state, the Superdome, state. So the I-10s and things like that, federal. So we have to look at what he's touching. He's touching it because he can. What if he didn't do any of these things? Then none of it would be changed right now. None of it, because the executive branch in our administration is not working for you. She has not been working for you since 2022. Remember that time, was it 2020, 2021, when everybody was quiet quitting? She quiet quit. There is a look of I work, but there's no work happening for you. And so you're like, oh, she's doing. Have you seen the difference? This was 2022 when that we gave this list. You've been listening. What has changed? And the whole point of this conversation is we deserve better. If you see something, say something. So that's what Faith in Politics is all about. It is about empowering our residents to speak up in their spheres of influence. None of us can do this alone. Getting New Orleans to the next level is going to literally be all hands on deck. And so that's what I'm calling for. I'm calling for everybody to be all hands on deck. Your voice is more powerful than you think it is, and we need to start using it. we need to start using it. And so I would love if each one of you wanted to, join Faith in Politics with me. I'd love to have you. You can text JOIN in your email to 504-399-4380. That's text JOIN, JOIN, and your email to 504-399-4380. You will be receiving information. You'll receive, and I'm not going to bombard you. You're going to receive one email on Tuesdays. That email is going to give you the information for what's going on in the week. On Tuesdays, you get the blast, and we have the podcast. On Wednesdays, we do meetups, either by Zoom or in person. I may go, take my computer and go work somewhere for a day and say, hey, if you want to have a conversation about the city of New Orleans, come meet me here. Give me your solutions or something that you're dealing with. Maybe you want to be low key about it. And, maybe with the information, city information, we can connect some dots and we can move something forward for you and get your situations cleared up, because that's what we need to do. We need to share information and we need to help each other, because ain't nobody coming. Ain't nobody coming. Ain't nobody coming, because we had this conversation in 2022 and all of the elected leaders, including city council leaders, were sitting where they are. How many people spoke up during the recall? I'll wait. Crickets. Y'all don't want to know what we went through. We were stalked ahead. Y'all don't want to know what we went through. But you know what? I'm going to still speak up. They don't want me to talk, which is why I'm going to keep talking. So I just want to let you all know I love each and every one of you. I appreciate all of I just appreciate all of your support and just listening. Honestly, I appreciate you listening, and hopefully you'll take something that was said and move forward, because I'm going to make you laugh, y'all. The last line is enough and enough. Time to save New Orleans. For these reasons and many more, we can't wait until 2026 for new leadership. We were saying this in 2022. Yep, Faith in Politics. Join us. Again, text JOIN and your email to 504-399-4380. Text JOIN and your email to 504-399-4380. And again, we have Tuesdays, we have the podcast and a blast. Wednesdays, we have the meetups. Thursdays, y'all are going to love this. If you are a person who is prayerful, we are going to have Power Hour prayer. I do walk in the prophetic. It is not for everyone. It is for, those believers. I believe in the power of prayer, and I've seen how it works. So on that day, the information the Lord has given me, I will talk about it and explain it. The Lord has released his gifts across everywhere. So if you are interested in that type of information and you feel that that's you, or you need some support, because a lot of people are having their, synchronicities and coincidences. Y'all, they're not synchronicities. They're not coincidences. Maybe the Lord is really trying to talk to you. Are you waking up, at a certain time all the time? Are you seeing these numbers? The Lord is trying to talk to you, and it's time for us to walk our walks and move forward and to speak up for other people. And so that's what this is all about. And last but not least, Solution Saturdays. On Saturday, we're going to be doing a text message, and that's why it's text to join. And so on Saturdays, I'll send out polls and information just to find out, what's on your mind. Will it be like, it might be like, rank these things in the city of New Orleans, rank them for us. Let us know what you are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to hear from the residents. We want to create a list of, I don't want to say demands, but I want to create a list of concerns that we can offer to our elected officials and say, hey, we want to get these things handled because they aren't. And if we have some solutions, or somebody who needs to be put on because they can fix it, well, then that's what this is all about. So I want to bring some faith back in politics, because we don't even vote. And last but not least, I'd like to leave on that note. If you aren't registered to vote, you can get registered to vote literally right now on your phone. If your Louisiana ID is up to date, you can go on sos.la.gov and you can register to vote. You can change your voter information. I did it right there online. I went from Democrat to Independent about a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years ago, in a couple months. But that's where I did it. You can update your address and things like that. And now is the time to really do that, because we have some elections that are coming up in the city of New Orleans. So I want to remind everybody, please, y'all, register to vote, update your information, make sure your information is going to the right address so we can so you can be empowered and involved, because it's your city, it's our children's city, and if we don't say anything, then nothing is ever going to be said. And so, people say, but you know what, I'm gonna keep talking until we have change, because I believe we deserve it and our children deserve it. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning into Faith in Politics, y'all, and I'm out.